voice message and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Thanks for calling.
After the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, hang up or press the pound key for more options.
Well, Mr. Clemson, this is Jeff Soberov. I have a pesky cyst on my left wrist, and it's interfering with my being able to make an income playing guitar. Now, you had sent me a letter, Mr. Clemson, that you told me that you would answer any question I had, so I still have the same question. And I need to have that answered before I can arrange to have any kind of further discourse with your hospital. Now, it took me a number of years before I found out in court, in a trial, that it is irresponsible and flies in the face of psychiatric and medical criteria for a medical person, either psychiatric or a strictly medical person, to start giving a person psychotropic drugs without determining if the problem that they're having that's affecting their occupation is not due to an organic cause. And your hospital failed to do that on numerous occasions many years ago. So I want to know why. I want to know why people who have been through medical school and know that before you can give a person psychiatric evaluation, if they report having a head injury, you know that you can't listen to them. They could misspeak themselves. They could be suffering from a head injury. It could affect their answers. And that's why you're supposed to give a person a 24-hour EEG and whatever other tests are necessary to determine if a person is having a mental breakdown. And your hospital refused to do that. And because it's a teaching hospital, I consider that quite an omission of ethics and criteria. And I'd like you to answer that question. My telephone number is... Now, I have contacted the referring physicians about this surgery, and I told them that I really couldn't go to Iowa City Hospital. I haven't told them why yet, but I will refer them to the recording that I made the last time I was in your hospital, where a licensed physician, instead of referring me to nuclear medicine, wants me to commit myself and open myself up to the same kind of overdose which your hospital helped deliver to me so many years ago. An overdose which put me in a 6-day coma. An overdose which persuaded a jury to award me almost $500,000 in punitive damages because they were appalled at the way a teaching hospital and the Genesis West organization was trying to protect 2 cops who had been beating people up for 20 years before they met me. So, answer that question, would you? I'd appreciate it. My readers would appreciate it too, Mr. Clemson. Now, personally, I'd rather be talking to somebody who's a medical doctor than to you, because I already know that you practice a religion. You know, your psychology bullshit. The thing about a science is that science has provable theories. There is not one theory of human behavior that's ever been proven. And that makes what you do a matter of faith. Science is not faith-based, Mr. Clemson. You got to be able to prove shit. During my lawsuit, it was pretty much proven that I didn't need the services of a psychologist. And I'm sorry that I ask such hard questions, but I want to know why every doctor in Iowa is willing to forego medical and psychiatric criteria when the person who assaults the injured party is a pig. You know what I mean by pig. A pig is a guy who wears a uniform and thinks that he has white privilege and can do anything he wants to anybody. And you know, we still got pigs like that on the Davenport Police Force. You can check out YouTube. News stories that won't be covered in Iowa, but they do get covered in Wisconsin, about how 2 police officers beat the living shit out of the girlfriend of a black guy who lectured the Davenport Police Department in race relations. That was their whole premise for going into an establishment where this woman was and beating the living shit out of her for a minute and a half and leaving her with a disability. I mean, she's lost 70% of her vision in one of her eyes. She has further neurological difficulties. And I'm sure if she came to your facility without ever having any kind of a record of being counseled by mental health officials, you would just say that she was nuts and wanted to sue a policeman. Because that's what you did. You did it to me, and you did it to at least 24 other people. And I know that because I've seen the records. So just to answer the question, why do you people forego medical and psychiatric criteria when a person who has been crippled by a cop is involved? Why do you forego those criteria? Simple question. It needs a direct answer before I can avail myself of any services in your veterinary clinic.
To accept and set message options, press 1. To replay, press 2. To erase and to send now, press the pound key. To mark as high importance, press 1. To return to the previous menu, press message marked as high importance. To send now, press the pound key. To mark as normal importance, press message sent. Goodbye.
Well, that was the better part of 8 minutes. I don't think I'm going to get an answer from this guy. I have been marked for extermination by these people. They tried to exterminate me almost 40 years ago, and they still are trying to do it. They're still trying to do it. They want to give me services which will drain my Medicare of tens of thousands of dollars, services that I already found out in a civil court during a lawsuit that I don't need. They don't like people who are politically inconvenient. They do this to the politically inconvenient. They also do it to people who have been injured by Davenport and Scott County pigs. That is what Iowa City does. It's their assignment. When I first got involved with Iowa City Medicine, after I was beaten up by Laurel Mulvaney and Hal Wilkerson, I didn't have any truck with any people that dealt with mental infringement. None. However, once you get beaten up by a cop, the state goes after you, and the federal government goes after you, because it's a cop. And if you got long hair, and it's even worse if you got a beard that's down to your crotch, well, you can forget about medicine in the state of Iowa. because their teaching hospital forgets about medicine in those situations. If you get attacked by a cop, you have only one actual means of recourse. Well, you're in the mood, which is probably from your head injury. You wouldn't think this way otherwise. But you got to kill that guy. Because if you don't kill that son of a bitch, he's going to be free to do it again. Think of it this way. Your life's over. What you got to lose? This is Dmitry Ivanovich with the Naked Truth.